Personal Story segment tonight, the primary anchor on Univision, Jorge Ramos, asked me for an interview. I immediately said, okay, because Mr. Ramos is a stand-up guy. He comes in here when we ask him. The interview was interesting because Jorge and I see the world very differently. It'll run tomorrow on Fusion. Here's a preview.
Thanks so much for inviting me to your set.
A pleasure. You always come on The Factor, Jorge. You're a stand-up guy, and so I'm happy to talk to you.
So this is a no-spin zone. When it comes to race, politics, immigration, you're clearly right-wing.
Well, it's your opinion, but I would say that I'm a problem solver. On immigration, for example, which is one of your big issues, all right? I want everyone to be treated fairly, and I don't oppose a pathway to citizenship for illegal aliens in America. I do not oppose that.
But you want to secure the border.
Correct, because I don't want the merry-go-round to continue, which I don't think does the country any good. Chaos doesn't do anything any good.
But you say you want an impenetrable border. That's impossible. That's really ridiculous.
No, but you can do it in a way.
40% of the people are coming by plane.
All right.
Undocumented.
And they're overstaying their visas. And if that's made a felony, they won't do it anymore. Will they, Jorge?
But many Republicans say that.
Will they, Jorge?
Will they what?
You make it a felony to overstay your visa, all right? They won't overstay their visas
But it's an economic problem. They're coming because we're giving them jobs.
All right, so let's revise that and have a worker program that fills the needs of American business. I'm for that. I'm for a fair immigration law.
But to say that you want to secure the border, that's sometimes, it's just an excuse to do nothing.
Well, no. If I were the president, I would secure the border, Jorge. If you have 150,000 children crossing the border, you don't have a secure border. No. Come on.
No, that's exactly the opposite. What it means is that the system is working, therefore they were detained. I mean, they surrendered to the authorities.
But they shouldn't even get to the authorities. You see, in most countries, you can't get to the authorities. You can't even get in because of the way they have it structured. We need to have a system whereby it's impossible to physically get in unless you go through the process. But it isn't. You can do it.
It's almost impossible. Anyway, you claim that there's not such a thing as white privilege in America.
Correct.
But many African Americans disagree with you, and some of them believe that, for instance, Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown were killed simply because of the color of their skin.
Okay, and I respect that belief, but I don't believe it's based on facts. When 99.9% of the arrests made in the United States and African Americans are arrested out of proportion to the rest of the population, result in no harm to no one, you must say that the police aren't targeting anyone.
You're always going to Michael Brown died simply because, I mean, he got six shots.
Do you believe that?
Shots? He was completely unarmed.
You have to let the process play out first. You're jumping into conclusion. Do you believe this police officer in Ferguson woke up and said, "I'm going to kill a black man"? Do you believe
not
that?
Like that, but for instance,
do you believe that he hated black people? This police officer?
We don't know that.
That's right.
But we're seeing many examples of African Americans, young African Americans, being killed.
You're saying a few, not many. A few.
I'm sure you saw this article by Nicholas Kristof in New York Times.
Yes, I did.
When whites just don't get it. I think he's talking about you because he mentions you here.
Of course he's talking about me.
And then he demonstrates that when it comes to net worth, income, employment, life expectancy, incarceration rate, that whites are doing much better than African Americans.
And Asians are doing much better than whites.
But it's in that white privilege? I mean, he's demonstrating...
Is it Asian privilege that Asians do better than whites?
Talking about that, but here we're talking about that there's a white privilege in America.
And there isn't. That's a myth.
But what is it?
What it is you have to look at the successful people and what makes them successful. Therefore, I took the Asian American community and I said, here's why they make more money than whites and blacks. Because they keep the family together. Because there's an emphasis on education. Because there's parental supervision of children. Those things in the Asian American communities are in stone. While it's eroding in the white, and it's almost non-existent in some black areas. The government cannot solve those problems. If you have 72% of children born out of wedlock in the African American community, 72%.
But I think we have to
You're going to have poverty, Jorge.
We have to admit that there's white privilege in this country. Let me jump to another thing. As an Irish Catholic, you said that the idea of writing "Killing Jesus" came from the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. You're Catholic, right?
No, I was born Catholic. I'm not a Catholic.
All right.
But it is very dangerous to mix politics and religion.
I'm not mixing politics. I'm an ordinary citizen. I wrote a book.
No, you're not an ordinary citizen because you're suggesting that
I'm an American citizen.
That God
Jorge,
talk to you somehow.
you were born Catholic, correct?
Yes.
All right. In the Catholic and Christian religion, there's God, right?
Yeah.
And where do we get our talents from? Where do we get our inspiration from?
Yeah, but to say that...
No, wait. Where do we get it from? Are you a Christian now? Or
no, I'm not a Christian.
Or you're nothing?
No.
Okay, but you understand the Christian theology.
Of course.
All right, I believe in that. Is that okay?
Of course, that's
okay.
That's your own
belief. All right, so I believe in it. I believe that there's a God, an active God, who inspires. So when I was asked where I got the idea for killing Jesus, I said, I think I was inspired to write it by the Holy Spirit. You object to that? You object to me stating my religious beliefs as an American?
That's your belief, but if you're suggesting that God talks to you, and then you constantly, every single day, give your political opinion, it's...
Jorge, you're kind of drawing this real crazy arc here. Look, I believe I'm inspired because I believe I'm in the Christian theology. You don't believe it. But why do you object for me saying it? Why can't I say what I believe?
No, you can say whatever you want. Thanks so much for talking to us.
It's a pleasure.
And to allowing us here in the No Spin Zone.
It's a pleasure.
I like them. As mentioned, Fusion will run the interview tomorrow, and after that, we'll post the unedited interview between Jorge Ramos and me on Bill O'Reilly.